If you really want to grow your Amazon business and take it to the next level, then stay tuned because I'm going to show you the most effective ways to make your brand attractive to an aggregator and secure the sale of your business, plus a few extras. That's coming up next on Behind the Stone. Welcome back to the Sunken Stone channel, where e-commerce brands, agencies, and do-it-yourselfers receive tips, tricks, and tutorials to improve strategy, growth, and operations every week. So be sure to subscribe. Just click the red subscribe button below or click on our channel page to see more videos. I'm Robert Runyon from Sunken Stone, and today I'm joined by Daniel Kalea, Head of Investments at SellerX, and we're going to show you exactly how to increase your business valuation to improve your chances of being bought by an aggregator. Say you've successfully built an e-commerce business. Maybe you're struggling to figure out what metrics the aggregators are really looking at when potentially acquiring a brand. Well, today, Daniel and I are going to show you exactly what you need to know using real-life subject matter expertise from Daniel and examples from SellerX to teach you how to grow your company faster, increase your business's valuation, and make the right decisions to sell your business. First, we're going to talk about all the things that you need to consider when thinking about selling your business. You know, Daniel, that's a really hot topic right now. Can you speak to that? Do you have any examples you can provide our listeners or viewers?
Yeah, of course. I mean, selling your business is actually a pretty tough decision for most sellers out there. I mean, it's normally, a lot of them consider it like their baby. It's something that is like part of their family, part of their lives. They've been like growing it for years in a lot of the cases, and they feel like a lot of attachment to them. So deciding whether they want to let it go, it's usually a tough decision for a lot of them. So, I mean, I think also similarly to your kids, like if you had a kid living with you for 18 years, and at some point you're also thinking like maybe it's time for him to move on and to move out of the house. So that's when guys like us at SellerX come in and help out. So, I mean, I think that mainly the most important things, I mean, just to like organize a little bit, is if you're thinking about selling your business, you should like try to consider, first of all, is a timeline. Like, okay, are you looking to sell very quickly? Is that something that you want to do maybe like in 6 months, 12 months time, 18 months time? Because, I mean, depending on the timeline, you might want to start doing a few things in order to achieve a higher valuation or achieve like better objectives, depending on what you want. So the first thing I would consider is a timeline. I mean, the most obvious example, we see it a lot here in Europe with people that want to sell before year end because of tax implications. So that's a big one for at least for people in Europe. In the US, I've seen in some states where they also have things like that. Then the second thing is, I mean, do you want to sell directly to someone, or do you want to use a broker? My personal preference, or at least what I would suggest, is now that there's a lot of aggregators out there, for the majority of the cases, it's very easy to go on their website and contact them directly. So the value that a broker can bring, it's probably more in the process in terms of understanding and helping out prepare rather than actually finding a buyer. Then, I mean, the third big one, which is, it's also probably the most important one, is who do you want to sell to? And this is where it gets a little bit blurry, because you've got a lot of aggregators, even private equities, even like maybe a strategic buyers, etc. So this is where it gets, I mean, I think it's very important, because selling your business is not like a one-off thing that you sell and then you disappear. Like a lot of the times selling will have like an earn-out component, which is like a profit sharing for 1 or 2 years. They'll also have like some stability mechanism where like they'll have to like be involved, or even for a lot of sellers, they want to continue to be involved in the brand, in the vision, in the strategy. And what they want is they want to see the business grow in the future. So it's actually even the most important part, and is one, the money, which is key for everyone that's selling. But number two is, who do you sell to, and who do you think is going to be the best person to carry your brand going forward. The fourth thing I wanted to mention is, I mean, how much involvement do you want to have with this brand later on? Because depending on your preference or not, there might be some aggregators that may be flexible to continue having you as a strategic advisor and continue working in, for example, in product launches that most people like to do, but what they don't like is all of the operations and the complexity that goes there. So that's something I think people that are thinking to selling should consider. Like, okay, if I sell my business tomorrow, what role do I want to have in this business in the future? And maybe lastly, I mean, this also goes again to my first point on the timeline, but it's important as well to think about what structure do you want? Like, do you want to sell the company, like do a share deal, or do you want to sell the assets of the company? And here, in most cases, I mean, in the US market standard is to sell the assets, while in Europe, in most of the cases, you sell the shares of the business, and the main reason is tax implications.
Daniel, you brought up some great points there. So, what are the things that e-commerce business owners should know about increasing their business's valuation so that it becomes more attractive enough for a potential acquirer, whether it be an aggregator, a broker, whoever they work with?
Yeah, Rob, this is like one of the favorite questions I get from like people that we get in touch with and tell us, look, I'm thinking of selling, not now, probably sell in 6 months, 12 months. What can I do until then in order to increase the valuation that guys like you are going to pay in the future? I mean, I'd say basically the way I would look at it, I'd say there's 3 things, and there's a bit generic, but like 3 main things that an aggregator would look at, and depending on that, you can think about how you can increase or not the valuation. But number 1 is the financial profile, and here it's having a good balance between some healthy margins and showing some growth. So you don't want to be in a business that is growing maybe 2,000% year over year, but it's not making any profit because you're investing it all in marketing for the growth. Like, that's not going to be that attractive for an aggregator because they need to repay debt behind, and it doesn't work. But at the same time, you also don't want a business that's got like 40, 50% margin, but is growing at 5% or 2% or even stable, just because even if for you it's a great cash cow, for us, we still want to show like some growth. So the financial profile is a little bit tricky, and you want to have like sort of a healthy one where you have some consistent growth, but also some sustainable margins. The other thing, I mean, this one's super important, but it's like, what can you do in order to basically improve the brand equity that you have? So it happens a lot of the times on Amazon. It's difficult to differentiate. You see a lot of copycats, especially from China. So what can you do in order to demonstrate that what you have is a brand, is not really like a random set of products? So there's a lot of things. I mean, there's things that give a lot of comfort to aggregators or to any buyers about this is a real brand behind. And these things include, like, I mean, if your product is for that, but like things like subscribe and save, I mean, great reviews, like great review trends, more reviews that are rising, repeat customer rates. If you've got like your own website that's got traffic, social media, all of these things are helping sort of demonstrate that there's a brand behind, and investing time into nurturing this brand element is going to be beneficial for a potential sale later on. And then the last thing, I think something that's quite powerful is for someone that's looking to sell it, is to also have some growth plans with the brand. So if you were to sell the brand tomorrow, someone, what can this person do? And this is really, really important to think about, because the way the aggregator is going to see this acquisition is, okay, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to invest a lot of resources, both money, people, in order to grow it. So there's like a clear defined plan about what the growth potential is and how to achieve it. And it's things that maybe one person may not be able to do because they don't have the money, the time, or the resources. That tells a very powerful story to do. And this can be whether, like, the obvious ones are launching new products, new variations, etc., that are already in the works or in the pipeline, or even things like expanding to new markets where you've already started the process with registration of VATs, for example, all of those things.
So just to make sure I heard that correctly. So basically you're saying that we need to be able to invest in content marketing, advertising, customer service, logistics to make sure all of our inventory is in the right place. We have enough inventory to send to customers, but then additionally it's growth and margins, right? So we want to be able to grow that brand profitably and show that profit on paper so that whenever we do sell, we can sell a brand to an aggregator or a broker, and they can pay back that existing debt that they took on to acquire that brand to begin with, right?
Exactly. It's exactly that.
That's absolutely perfect. So say that we're considering the key metrics that aggregators look at when acquiring a brand. Can you show me any data or point me to any examples in the past where you have helped clients?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the key things we would look at, I mean, both financial profile is similar to what we were talking about with the margins and growth. I mean, as a rule of thumb, you want to have net profit margins of over 20% and growth rate of at least 20 to 30% year over year. I mean, the point here on the growth, obviously, this year, normally for a lot of sellers, looks a little bit ugly when you compare yourself versus a COVID year. So I think that's something that most people are aware and they discount on. And again, on the margin as well, this is probably the most difficult time with supply chain issues, etc., that most people are struggling. But I think most people are aware of that and consider that in their calculations. So financial profile is one. Number two is the product category, the positioning, and the competition in that space. So I think, like, for example, SellerX, we focus on evergreen categories. So we normally stay away from consumer electronics and things like fashion and look to invest in the other categories like home and kitchen, sports and outdoors, gardening, pets, all of these things that are sustainable longer term. There's less sort of fads or trends within. We think that they're better in order to build long-term D2C and Amazon brands. And then, I mean, quite importantly, this goes to a similar thing I said before about the brand equity, the brand positioning. How is it positioned in the space? Is it like a premium brand? Is it like sort of a cheaper option? How do they differentiate? How's the content there? So try to understand there. And then the last one, which is similar to what I mentioned on the growth plans, but it's the other way around, like looking at that brand, what are the synergies that it's going to have? I mean, for example, we own a couple of brands in the pet space or in the baby space. This might be a great acquisition for us because it sort of help us expand our portfolio of brands there. And similar thing, like we can look at it and see like, oh, these guys are not running an efficient supply chain operation. Okay, there's a low-hanging fruit that we can do. We can onboard them into a warehousing system and improve the margins and improve the supply chain and avoid stockouts. So all of these are key metrics that we look to consider when doing the analysis regarding an acquisition.
That's absolutely incredible. You know, you look at so many different factors and it's so complicated and so complex, yet you make it so simple and so digestible for somebody to be able to understand. And talking about the operational improvements, maybe it is the supply chain disruption, supply chain issues. And as you know, it's all about inventory proximity. The closer that your product is to customers, like the cheaper it is to get it to those customers. So those are little types of operational improvements that you can do to improve the margins on a business, right? Because even if you're saving $1, 100,000 times over, right? Like it's $100,000. But what are some of the things that e-commerce business owners should look for when speaking with aggregators? You know, there's a ton of you guys out there in the space. There's not just SellerX. There used to be just a handful, but since COVID happened in 2020, 2021, it all blew up. So what are things that people should be looking for whenever speaking to somebody?
Yeah, no, I mean, great question. The thing is, I mean, I think what's important to remember, this is still a people's business, especially acquisitions of this sort of this, like for a lot of people is life-changing transactions, right? Because you're selling your business and in most cases you're going to become a millionaire from this transaction. So it's quite important. I think the point is there's a people's business, and I think it's a lot of the times it becomes very obvious when you start speaking with someone, whether there is a fit between both of you. Like, is that someone you're going to be wanting to work together long-term? And is that someone that, like, I mean, are you happy with them taking over your business? Do you think they're going to be the best person in order to grow it, take it to the next level? And the most important thing is the way the process works is normally if you're considering a sale, you start talking with aggregators, you have a couple of calls, you share some financial information, and they'll make you an offer, which is a letter of intent. And there will be the head terms of what the purchase price will look like. The problem is that doesn't mean you actually get that, because once you sign that, there's the due diligence, and then after that is when you actually get paid. So it's quite important to basically understand what's the probability of closing. Like if you sign an LOI with someone and you start exclusive negotiations with that person, was the real chance that you're gonna close the transaction with that person? So that's the first thing I would consider. Like, is this like what's the probability that you're gonna close with this person? Second, I mean, what I was mentioning in terms of like, is this the right person to grow your brand, take it to the future, and build it into a huge business going forward? Third, what's the reputation of this aggregator in this space? I mean, there's a lot of forums, there's a lot of places out there. People can do research a lot. Maybe you have some friends in the space that have sold their business. I think it's important to try and get a sense about what are people saying. Is these guys professional? Or, I mean, the most important test is how do you feel when talking with them? Mm-hmm. But in respect, there's as more aggregators grow, it becomes easier to sort of try to pick which one might be the best fit for you.
Absolutely incredible. So, you brought up a lot of really great points there, and it's super important to pay attention to at least those three key metrics whenever you're speaking with the aggregators, because like you said, it's your baby. It's whether you have been treating this like a child and having it for 18 years and it's time to move on, or you've had it for a year and you have the right margins, you're doing the right things, your growth's in the right areas, it might be time for you to talk to an aggregator. So for more great tips on planning an exit, be sure to get in touch with the team at SellerX, where you'll be able to get a free business valuation. You can get that by clicking the links in the description box below this video. So what's your next step? If you're really looking to sell now, in the next few months, or even in the next couple of years, it's important to start thinking about it right now and how to maximize the value of your business sooner rather than later. Reach out to Daniel and the team at SellerX. They're a buyer and builder of Amazon native brands. For candidate advice and a free valuation of your Amazon business, you can get that by clicking the links in the description box below this video. If you really want to level up your e-commerce strategy, then watch this video next. It's called the 5 Proven E-commerce Marketing Strategies to 10x Your E-com Business. And you'll learn insider secrets from Tanner Tozan, our CEO, Adam Weiler, on how to scale 7- and 8-figure e-com businesses.